This is the old city of Nablus, where we walked. And this was an interesting walk because it seemed that everybody knew who we were and why we were there, and people were smiling broadly at us as we walked through the street. It was an interesting experience. And we eventually figured out that what was probably going on is that the other half of our delegation, we were the human rights portion, there was a medical track of our delegation of doctors who had come to Nablus to donate from 2 weeks to a month of their time to the population free of charge. And everybody in town knew that there were American doctors at the clinic, and so they assumed that we were doctors at the clinic, probably. These are posters of Palestinian children who were martyred to the cause. These are children who we saw as we walked. The city of Nablus is 1,000 years old, the old city. It is an historic treasure to all mankind. But this is what has happened to parts of the original 1,000-year-old homes of Nablus. This empty lot here, was the site of one of those original homes. It was destroyed in the Second Intifada in 2002, at night, without warning, killing everyone in the home. It was destroyed for the purpose of creating a vantage point for Israeli soldiers. There was no emergency warranting its destruction. That was our hotel room. We opened the drapes, and that's what we saw. This is a view of Arial, the settlement on the largest aquifer in Palestine. And it stretches on for a very long time. The city is about 25,000 people, I believe. And you see below it, in the foreground here, is this line of houses. That is the village, the Palestinian village, below the settlement. The settlers do not bother to treat their wastewater. After they've used it, they just dump it on the hills here, and it percolates down the hills into the orchards and farms of the Palestinian village, where it pollutes their fields and makes it impossible to live. This is a settler-only road that this Palestinian man is illegally standing on, waiting and hoping to catch a ride with a taxi that will have a tab on its license plate that allows it to travel on the road. The only way he could get anywhere from his village here to anywhere is by crawling through this hole in the fence and standing illegally on an Israeli-only road, which is an illustration of how settlements and roads combine to make it impossible to maintain life in a village like that. And there are many, many villages in that situation. This is a home in the Salfit region that is entirely surrounded by the walls on four sides. This family, as their own personal form of resistance to the occupation, refused to leave their property for the building of the wall, which is right here behind them. And they remained. And so they are surrounded on all sides. This is also the wall, but it has not yet been turned into poured concrete. And this is how they have to get into their house. Sorry about the damage to this digital file. This is the owner of the home here, talking to our guide, and our driver's wife with her little child. By the way, the people in this home told us that the soldiers assigned to the region by Israel change every few months. And he said the most dangerous times are when there's a change in the detail of the soldiers assigned to the region, because the new soldiers don't know who they are and can't figure out what they're doing there. And soldiers come into they just barge into the house, always in the middle of the night, with guns pointed, order everybody out into the yard, and search the entire house. And then the kids are supposed to go back to bed and go to sleep as though nothing had happened and walk to school the next day. And this happens all the time. This is an olive orchard where we visited a little olive processing operation. And this is the ancient way for harvesting olives, with a rake. This young man who proposed marriage to me with my gray hair while I was there, harvesting his olives. And there he is with his family, and you can see they live a hard life. His hand here behind his father's back is completely deformed and shriveled, I think probably by polio. And that's his father, who was harvesting olives himself, and there's the community mosque in the background. This I shot only simply to show you a pretty typical olive orchard, which are communal. The whole village lives in town, and then the olive orchards are outside of town, and they are separated by family with these stone walls that you see. This is our driver's family. We were driving on the Sabbath on Friday and could find absolutely no place to eat lunch. And he eventually took us to his own home, 12 of us. And they had this feast waiting for us there. They just did it for us. And I was so grateful, and we were all so grateful, but I actually had a bag of kiwi with me that I gave to the family as a little gift to thank them for the wonderful meal they gave us. And in return, I was given this trophy.